sometimes almost catches us in the middle of an adventure, like with Dave, right? Sometimes almost stories surprise us on some normal Saturday night while we're playing Super Mario Brothers. But some almost stories we have to go digging for. And Joe went digging for this next story, and he brought it back to share with us. And I think like most things you go digging for, it didn't turn out exactly the way he expected. So help me welcome Joe Perez.
So there is a monument dedicated to my grandfather in a small town in Mexico. His name was Nestor Lopez, and he died in battle there. I want to share with you my discoveries that I made while on a journey to understand my family and its connection to the Mexican history. I thought that bringing this story to life in a way that inspires me would bring a little bit of dimension to it. First, let's go back 100 plus years. The year was 1910, and Mexico was led by a dictator named Porfirio Diaz. Under his reign, no peasant or farmer could claim the land they occupied without formal legal title. More than 95% of Mexico's land was owned by less than 5% of the population. Helpless and angry, small farmers and landless peasants saw no hope for themselves and their family. They came to the conclusion that a change of leadership would be the only route that offered hope for themselves and their country. That same year, there was an election that Diaz would fix. When it became apparent that he would lose that election, he threw his opponent in jail. When Diaz won this election, this caused the initial outbreak of the revolution. The would-be heroes Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata would launch a rebellion against Diaz, all of which eventually became known as the Mexican Revolution. Now, a few years previous, an uprising began, which my great-grandfather Nestor was a part of. Mysterious meetings between he and American men happened frequently, and it was believed that arms were exchanged as a result. One day, his 3-year-old daughter, Petra, got a little too curious and opened the back door to the shack where the arms were being stored. Petra was most likely punished. On June 26, 1908, Petra stood at the end of the gate as she waved goodbye to her father, Nestor. This would be the last memory she would have of her father. Nestor and his men joined forces with another group to take the city of Las Vacas, which had a garrison of more than 100 troops. After the bloody battle, Nestor had lost his life, and the 40 men with him that stood with him against the 100 was reduced to just 15. This battle was significant in history because it was the first armed uprising fought within the border. As a result, this monument was erected, and the annual celebration of Las Vacas, now known as Cuidar Acuña, is titled just that. Inscribed on the monument translates, "We pay fervent tribute of gratitude to the precursory martyrs of the Mexican Revolution that on June 26th of 1908, they sacrificed their lives with glory, honor in this place, fighting the soldiers of the Porfirio dictatorship." This battle was considered a precursor to the revolution and eventually to the overthrow of Diaz. In my hours of research, I've come to realize that learning about your past makes you reevaluate your present. In this electoral time and with Veterans Day just passing this week, it really made me think about my great-grandfather and how he gave his life for the ideals of equality and freedom, which begs the question, what would he think of me? A great-grandson who has never fought for his country. A great-grandson who was born into freedom and has no grasp of what it means to live without it. A great-grandson who has never exercised his freedom to vote. You see, he never experienced the outcome of the revolution because he died fighting for it. I believe we as human beings naturally take things for granted until something comes along that shakes you so far off your center that you're forced to look from it or look at it from a different perspective. Researching my great-grandfather did this for me. And to honor him and others who fought for the same ideals, I completed the first step in exercising my freedom, and I became a registered voter. And I can prove it right here. I actually went and registered, and I'm gonna vote next time around. So thank you for your time and listening.